Hello, everyone. Welcome to Soul Shift Thursdays, and I'm your host, Kat Sticker. And today we are going to talk about the sixth pillar of the wellness pillar model, and that is harmony. So today we're going to cover 3 ways to increase harmony in your life. Now, who doesn't want a more harmonious existence? So as people join, let's see. Good evening. Good evening, dear. How is the volume, the sound? Can you hear okay? Leave me a comment. All right. So the reason we're going to talk about harmony is because no matter how spiritual you are, how no matter how much your pillars of body, mind, and spirit seem to be balanced and in sync, you can still not experience harmony in your life unless you're purposeful about it. So, we want to talk a little bit today about what that could look like for you. Doesn't have, I mean, these are going to be my examples. And I want everyone to, got some comments. Hey, Francis. All right, all the sounds good. Okay, I'm just checking the comments there to make sure everything's going okay. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about what it can look for me, but I want you guys to comment about what these things may look like for you, because I'm going to give you some kind of um, high level ways, and then you can tell me what are some examples of that, and I'll tell you what some of my examples are. So we'll work together harmoniously to get to the bottom of this. But when you reach a state of harmony, you're going to find that you have less discord with others, less discord about everything, and that means fewer arguments, less, uh, I guess, polarized points of view. You'll be able to be in better flow. You'll have greater connection with the universe. You'll be able to recognize. Remember, I posted that post about ego traps in the Soul Shifters Guild Facebook group this week, and so you'll be able to avoid some of those ego traps because you'll recognize them when they come up in yourself, and you'll feel more at peace in your heart and in your mind. And then you may even see you may even see problems from a higher perspective, I guess, from a different perspective, and approach everything with more gratitude. Maybe even problems you approach with more gratitude. So those are the results of having a harmonious balance in your life. And so when we talk about harmony, what exactly are we talking about? I mean, it can mean a lot of different things, really. And so actually looked it up in the dictionary, and Merriam-Webster says it has a lot of different definitions. This is the first part. Of course, we think about harmony with music, right? You can be in harmony, or you can sing a harmony. And that's the combination of simultaneous musical notes in a chord. So there are notes. Notes have to be a certain distance apart on the scale to be harmonious. And sometimes they're in what they call discord. It means they're not pleasing to the ear, that they don't sound harmonious. It could be the pleasing arrangement of parts, or an internal calm and tranquility. And I think a lot of us, when we're thinking kind of about spiritual harmony, we think about that tranquility we may experience. But I think it's more than just tranquility. I like number 4, which is really focused on literature, but think about it maybe from another perspective as well. An interweaving of different accounts into a single narrative. And can you apply that to relationships? And then 5, a tuneful sound, a melody. Wouldn't you like your life to be a melody? Oh, so you were in you were in flow yesterday. What did that look like for you? What came out of your being in flow yesterday? All right. So before this show started, I pulled a card for myself from this Conscious Spirit Oracle deck. This is one of my favorite decks, even though it doesn't have a fancy box or a fancy booklet. It just has a little thin booklet in there. But this deck always works really well for me. And my question was, how can I bring the wind into my presentation tonight? And the card I drew was this moon goddess card. It's kind of cool. But look at the sentiment at the bottom. It says, I am, oh, it's kind of blurry. I am in harmonious flow with the moon's energy and all phases of life. I got the card that said harmonious. Wow. And I'm talking about harmony. And not all the cards talk about harmony. So I thought that was pretty cool. And that was very synchronistic that I got that card. And the reason I asked about bringing the wind, and we'll talk about that more towards the end. I'm going to bring in a wind to the group to bring harmony to us. But I'll explain a little bit more why. But you can see, like behind me, I'm working. Well, you probably can't see that good, but I'm working on these prayer flags, painting on these prayer flags to hang up outside in the garden. Whoops! Oh my gosh, having it almost knocked over my light. So anyway, the wind is like a big part of my spiritual practice, working with the wind, and it's part of the air element that I like to work with. So we're going to work with that a little bit tonight and bring in some harmony. Now, what this is about, I said there are 3 ways. I mean, there's a lot more than 3 ways, but this is a short show, so we're going to only focus on 3 ways that we can increase harmony in our lives. And the first way we're going to talk about is connecting with the earth or the universe, or you could say or the universe. And so what could that look like for you? Well, when you're in connection with the earth or with the universe, and that's when you start getting in flow and everything, that could be a lot like communing with nature. And what I mean by communing with nature is, I'm not just talking about taking a walk in the woods, although that's a good start. But you could take a walk with the wind and talk to the wind. You could take a walk in the woods and then have a conversation with the trees there. I'm talking about communing, talking, feeling into your environment, not just walking through it with the headphones on, but being part of it, being a harmonious part of that nature. And that can look different for different people. It also could look like conservation efforts. So if you see a need, or you listen to what the environment's telling you, and you hear that there's a need, and you can help provide that need, that can put you in harmony with the nature around you. And maybe that is, giving a plant some water, or building a little birdhouse. It could be as a bigger conservation effort, like helping save a wetland. So there's a lot of ways it could look like for you. Also, I like to work a lot with the elements. And so you can do some journeys or meditations to become one with one of the elements, and be really in flow with that. And it can have a big effect on your perspective. Also, meditation with spirit, and that can be your higher self, or it could be God. and just getting into that larger collective consciousness, and being in tune with that for a little while during their day. And I put on here repairing the web of life because that's one of the types of journeys that I like to do. It's really working on the crystalline grid that surrounds the earth. And so that's kind of a spiritual practice of mine. And it really helps me to connect with the earth and with the universe and to feel into that. And I feel a lot more harmonious at that point. Francis says, I did that today for my daughter's school project. Oh, that's really cool. Awesome. So why don't you guys tell us a little bit about if you have any practices where you feel really connected with the earth or with the universe, maybe gardening or whatever it is you like to do. I always liked bird watching and just hearing what the birds are saying to each other, and just being like flowing into the background of that. There's a lot of different ways. All right, so the second way is taking ego out of relationships. And I had that post about ego earlier this week. And so that kind of led into this talk today. But how can we do that? It's a conscious effort, and really it's easier said than done in our day-to-day lives. But if you focus on just some of the basics, it just falls into place. It just becomes part of who you are. And you'll be, like I said, you'll be able to recognize as an outcome that ego. So it's compassion. It's having compassion for others. It's expressing love for others, and that can be verbally, or it can be through action. I mean, a lot of times love looks like action. It's bringing meals to someone who's sick. It's being there for someone who needs you. And I have on here holding space for others when people need someone, being there for them, and being the strong one while they're feeling weak. Also, just working on your heart expansion, so that your heart chakra. And that's something you can do. You can do in meditation, but you don't even have to be in meditation to do that. And all of the above things help with that heart expansion. Another big one is forgiveness. And forgiveness clears up all kinds of pain for yourself. Forgiveness isn't about the other person. I mean, it's about the other person, but it doesn't benefit them as much as it benefits yourself, right? And that forgiveness can improve relationships. And just think about, I mean, people do things that may hurt you, but when you can get to a place of forgiveness, you can see it in a little bit different light. Some things may be a misunderstanding. Now, when you get to a point where you've taken ego out of the relationship, you've forgiven, you've shown compassion and love, and the other person is still treating you poorly, that's when you need to just end that relationship altogether. You're not going to be harmonious if people are treating you badly and you just allow that to happen, right? So you have to set some boundaries there. But then, if you can show the forgiveness, the compassion, love, they may come over and it may influence them to change their ways. All right. So let me see. And then let's go on to the third way. Collaboration and giving. This is where you're giving back to the community, to the world, to others, maybe to people, or it could be to animals if you're really connected to animals. And if you can be involved in your community in any way, it really expands your harmony in the collective consciousness. It makes you connected to actual live people. I mean, and also community. When I say community leadership, it doesn't mean you have to be mayor, but maybe just participating in like a civic organization that does good in the community. Uh, Healing others, sending out Reiki healing, or just volunteering in any capacity in your community. And then being a prayer warrior, that's, of course, one thing that I've incorporated into my practice is to lift other people up. And I feel like that really gives back and connects me with you guys. So what are some ways, can you tell me some ways that you feel like you're being collaborative, connecting with other people or with animals, with collaborating with someone to bring harmony into the world? And so that's the thing, is you want to do it in a harmonious way, a way that works well for everyone, where the sum of the parts, or the whole, is greater than the sum of the parts. That's synergy. That's what we're talking about, synergy. The sum, the whole is greater than just the sum of the individual parts. You're creating something bigger than yourselves. That is how I see harmony. Group meditations. Dash says, I like to participate in group meditations. Yes, that definitely can connect you together. And I've been in some really cool journeys where, you know, we would have journeys where they weren't necessarily a guided meditation, like we had kind of a goal, but it wasn't guided step by step where, you know, you're listening to a voice the whole time. So everybody's kind of on their own to have their own journey and own experience that's not being led too much in one direction. And surprisingly, at the end, there's a lot of similarities in those cases, because, and you're like, wow, I saw something very similar. And I connected with someone that was very similar, because you're really connecting on this ultra conscious level um, to the energy of the other people. So it's all about energy. And I think that's really amazing. All right. So now I want to talk to you just a second about this wind card. Now, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. Fing Popo, harmony, strive for balance. And Fing Popo is a Chinese, like an ancient Chinese wind goddess. She's crone energy. And Fing Popo is like this goddess that rides on the back of a tiger, and she carries a sack. It's made of goat skin, and it's this inside the sack is the wind, and this wind brings harmony and balance into your life. And the Fing Popo is the wind I'm working with in March. And how I got these wind cards is from Renee Baribeau. She wrote this book, Winds of Spirit, and this book tells all about different wind gods, and she produces the little wind cards. And this is actually just like, she also has a sheet where you can just print them off on paper and cut them out and use them. And I also have the little cardboard ones. And so that's how I know about Fing Popo, through Renee. And I'm working with Fing Popo in conjunction with the doldrums. The doldrums is my cardinal one, and doldrums is where you have no wind. It's basically no wind. And so that no wind I'm working with all year, and it's creating this container for me. And I found this out in meditation, in collaboration with this doldrums wind, because I was like, I don't want to be in the doldrums this year. I have all these things on my plate. I'm trying to move forward. I'm moving at breakneck speed. Why did I draw doldrums? Um, I wanted like a faster wind, but I drew doldrums and found out that it is creating this container for me where I can be present with my community, where I can put in roots, to do things like the daily prayers, the daily healings. And before, I didn't have those roots to be able to do it. And I think because I was in this crazy current that's just like blowing me forward. And that's not the point of what I want my life to be. And I didn't even realize it until I got in the doldrums. And so what I'm doing is using this doldrums win as my container. And then every month I have a wind that I'm working with in conjunction with the doldrums. So this month it's harmony. And that's why I thought this would be a good topic today. So what we want to do today is we're going to call in the Fing Popo, and I brought my wind whistle to be with us. And we're going to have Fing Popo show you where you can bring even more harmony into your life. All right. So it's not going to be like a long meditation or anything. I'm just going to call in the wind and that'll be it. All right. So it'll take just a couple of minutes. I'm going to go ahead and play a little background music. And so I want you all to get relaxed, and you can call in the wind yourself, and you can blow into your hand if you want. So first I'm going to take in a big, deep wind breath. Now we're going to have Fing Popo help us to release anything that is not harmonious in our lives. Anything that's discord is going to blow right out of here. And then for our final wind breath, we're going to ask Fing Popo to show us where we can bring harmony and balance even more into our life. What does that look like for you? So I hope you enjoyed that. And I want you all to think about this week about where you have in your life something that's makes you feel like you're not in harmony. Something's out of balance. You have the yin, but you don't have the yang. You have discord in your relationships. You have discord with your work. You have just a lack of balance somewhere. You're not spending enough time in nature, for instance. And then call in Fing Popo to help you find some balance, and also post about your results in the Soul Shifters Guild Facebook group, because I'd be interested to hear how you're coming into more harmony in your life this week. All right. So that's about it for tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. And I wish you a most harmonious night and a most harmonious life. I love you guys. Bye.